Lost Ark is an action combat MMORPG in the same sort of style as Diablo or Path of Exile. It's been out for a few years in select countries, but it just had its EU and NA release last Friday, and it is absolutely going wild. It is the #1 most viewed game on Twitch right now, and at one point yesterday, it was the second highest played game on Steam. So it's been very well received, very well played. Who knows how long it will last, but I've personally been looking forward to the release of this for a while, so I wanted to jump in and have a go. My first impressions and expectations were so low. We streamed this on release for a couple of hours and I really just couldn't get into it. Didn't have much good to say outside of the combat, but after going back and putting in a bunch more time, my opinion on it is completely switched around, and there's a lot of good things to find in this game. There's a lot of good that people might miss. With it being a free game, you might jump in for a few hours, download it, jump in, think, oh yeah, not for me, and just uninstall it. And I just wanted to make a video covering my first impressions, just going over from character creation into like the first few days of play, and giving my thoughts and feelings as I went through these different areas and what you might expect to see. If you like this style of video, consider subscribing to the channel and let me know what you think in the comments. So, let's get into this. The game starts you out by picking a class, and there are 5 classes that develop into I think 15 advanced classes. Some initial pros and cons here. The characters are super fun and unique. I created a few just to test them out, and they all play really unique. For example, the sorcerer can use a range of spells and special powers that help control the battlefield, whereas the class I went with, the gunslinger, you don't have a special ability. You don't have like an ultimate or a super powered move. But when you press like the ultimate button, it switches guns. So your hotbar completely changes from pistols, shotgun, and sniper, which is really unique, and I think only the gunslinger can do it. Maybe the other gunner classes can, I'm not too sure. But let's talk about some flaws here. I'm not a huge fan of gender lock-in classes. I think this is a big thing in Korean MMOs. I know it was big in BDO when I played that, and I don't really like it in Lost Ark. I don't have an issue with playing a female, it's not that, but when I play MMORPGs, I like to make them kinda like me. Maybe I'll make a human type character, or maybe I'll make a guy with brown hair or glasses. You know, I try and make something I can relate to. And in real life, I'm unfortunately not a hot elf with massive boobs. Now, I wanted to play as a gunner. The strangest thing is you can be a male gunner or a female gunner, which is great, but the male gunner can be an artillerist, a deadeye, or a sharpshooter. But what I wanted to be a gunslinger, you have to play as a female, which is wild because you're already taking the time to make a male gunner class, but then you lock them out of the advanced class. Real strange. I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for it. Who knows? Anyway, I played around with the character creator for a while, but ultimately I went with a edgy goth waifu, pale, black and purple hair. I think if I can't make myself, I'll make the ultimate waifu, right? I don't even know if there's like a tank and like a trinity system. I've heard that the bard can support, but I don't know if there's like a healing class. I didn't see anything that looks like a healing class. There's a paladin, which might be a tank, but I really don't know. I'm going into this blind. I like to keep the excitement of not knowing at whatever cost that is. You know, I might get to the end and find that gunslinger's a F class and totally useless, but hey, it is what it is. Anyway, with the character made, the first thing most of you are gonna notice in this game is the UI and the graphics. And I'll be the first to say it, it looks like a phone game. It looks like Raid Shadow Legends just pulled from a phone and just slapped onto a PC. And when I saw it at the top of Twitch, I thought, oh, they're paying a lot of sponsorship to get all these people playing it. Until I played it myself and you know, realized, oh no, this is actually worth playing. I still don't like the UI, but I've got past it, and maybe I'll grow to love it. I never liked the Final Fantasy XIV online when I played that, but I've played that for 9 months now. I'm in love with that game, and I love the UI now. So maybe it'll grow, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. The graphics and animation are actually really, really good. Some of the areas you go to are fantastic. Some of the monsters look really cool, and the spell effects are incredible. The detail that goes into some of these spells and attacks are really, really good, but they're contrasted with real janky animations from the players. When you've got them in game, they can't even turn around without like pivoting on around themselves. They can't, like, they've got no dynamic movement. Some of the animations are dead janky. Mine held a gun in each hand, and they went to pick something up from a table and picked it up with the gun in their hand. Just real jank that you normally see on a phone game. And I think getting to here is where most people that stop got to. They saw the UI, they saw the animations, they saw the intro to the game, and I don't think it sells it well. And they said, yeah, not for me, pretty flashy, but not for me. And now let's get into where it all turned around. The combat. The combat is so good. I think this is the reason this game is just going wild everywhere. The gameplay and the combat is top tier. Everything I've touched on so far has been kind of lukewarm, good and bad things. But the combat, I've never played anything that feels this good in an action RPG. I've got hundreds of hours in Diablo 3. I've played multiple seasons of PoE, and I love both of those games. They're unique in their own way. Obviously, Diablo feels a bit dated, and PoE is very grindy and gritty, and I like them both for that reason. But Lost Ark just feels right. It really does, and I can't put my finger on what it is. It feels flashy, polished, and clean, and I just really think they've done a great job. You can see behind, I put some combat behind, so you can make your own impressions here. I'm not going to talk through why, but you can make your own impressions on how the combat looks. But what I do want to talk about is the different styles of actions they give you that make you feel like you're doing more in a fight. Rather than just press 1 to do an ability, 2 to do an ability, some have special action buttons, and I want to talk about a few of them. Combo is a pretty cool one. So for example, you press it at the end and it does it again, or you press it at the right time. So roll and you press combo and it rolls again. Shoot, press combo at the right time and they shoot again. Things like that make it feel like you've got more agency over that move. And then you've got holding moves, so you want to freeze a location down. You've got to hold the button and freeze for as long as you're holding, let go when you're ready to let go. And it feels like you can cancel your action and have a lot more movement, and you can do exactly what you want for the exact amount of time. Then you've got these timed actions, which I absolutely adore on the Gunslinger. So you want to hit a certain location, you want to hit a certain sweet spot, a weak point. Then you hold it until it hits the certain part, and then you let go. I'll try and show in the background because I probably haven't explained it great, but these feel so damn good. And then you've obviously got like cast on location, AoEs, burst from the character, things like that. And then there's tons of melee stuff as well. And it just feels like the range of things you can do make the combat feel like you're not just turning your brain off and going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It feels like you can do a hell of a lot more. There's a skill system too where you can upgrade and augment your abilities, like increase the AoE, add fire damage, that kind of thing. I turn one of my attacks from a cone into a 360 spinning around shoot. I feel like the guy out of Overwatch with the two guns. It feels pretty cool. My attitude to MMO has always been to keep the sense of wonder alive, so no guides, no min-maxing, at least until the end game, at least until I get through the story. So I'm probably playing my class completely wrong, but I'm having so much fun doing it. Okay, gameplay out of the way. Let's talk about something real diversive. Story. I've seen MMORPGs like WoW that are very bare and spoon-fed stories, and then games like Final Fantasy XIV that has insane amounts of depth and character development. So I wasn't sure where this would fall, and my first impression of the story was it was dead. The story was dead to start with. I had no interest in the story at all. I thought it was generic, boring, and just tacked on. I really didn't like it, and it just built into that first impression I had of the game being not worth my money. And even though I didn't pay for it, I felt like it was still wasting my time. And I just want to say, it gets so good. I don't know why, but it just really picks up. The basic preset is there's a demon war, priest battled the demons, and an ark was used, but it's been lost. That's the name. And then to find the ark, the story takes you all over the different zones, gives you these micro stories as you go along, and then builds into a deeper story along the way. I've got no idea where it ends. I'm around level 30 now at the time of recording this video. For example, one zone you pass through, there's a plague, and you have to take the time to help and cure the plague while you're there, and then they lead you on to the next area. 99% of the quests are just killing enemies or clicking items, but that can be said about any of the big MMORPGs. But then, around level 25, something happens. It started telling a story about a king trying to reclaim a throne. Minor spoilers incoming. It led to one of the most cinematic and cool stories moments I've seen in an action RPG. If you've played Diablo 3, when you're on the walls in one of the last acts, well, I don't know which act, you're on like the wall of the castle and there's these big fiery dragons coming in. It was kind of like that, but so much better. It was like a full-on castle siege with armies, siege weapons, demons, and I loved every minute of it. I've recorded it for this video and I've gone back and watched it again because it was just so cinematically fun. And it's when the story got me. From that point on, I knew the story had more. It had more that it could give than the generic little cutscenes it was giving. So I'm going to say the story's got me. It's not incredible, but I'm intrigued and I'm excited to see where it's going to go. And it's not the huge RPG like Final Fantasy XIV or The Witcher 3, but for an MMO, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. Okay, story out of the way. Let's talk about something else that I really, really like. Is as you start to progress, you get this... It's a thing designed for completionists, I think. And boy, am I a sucker for these completionism things. Getting all the mounts, completing all the quests, finding all the loot. So when I saw the Adventurer's Log, is that what it's called? The Adventurer Journal? It lit up that part of my brain that likes flashing lights and the reward signals. I'm hooked on that. I really like it. It tracks how many items you've got, how many quests you've completed, things you've cooked, dungeons you've completed on what difficulty, and more, bosses you've killed. And the more you do of this per area, the more it rewards you. So you can go back and tick them all off, collect all the herbs, fight all the bosses, do the dungeons on all the different modes, and your bar fills up more and more and more, the percentage. And if you get it to 100%, you get some really good rewards. And there's one of these in every single zone. So not only does it give you a linear path of what's in the area, it's just so much to work towards. I'm not doing it now. I'm focusing mostly on the story. But I know one day, probably like a Sunday, I'm just going to go back and know life an area and just grind it out. Grind it out. Just put some TV on and just grind it out. And I'm quite looking forward to it. Just turn your brain off and do some smooth brain content. I like that sort of stuff. If you're into that kind of thing, I think you're going to really like this. And that's kind of everything I've seen in the game so far. The other thing I've just unlocked is crafting. And it feels a little complicated so far. You basically switch your hotbar from a combat hotbar to a crafting hotbar. You get into a town and you learn how to mine and forage and fish. And it's pretty basic stuff. It's an action RPG crafting system, gathering system. I've not seen any crafting. It's all gathering. But it's not something you normally see together. Maybe I've missed the key MMO where this is featured, but I've played PoE, which is very crafting heavy in certain areas. I've played Diablo where there's nothing really like this. So to have a gathering system in an action RPG feels fun. I took every single crafting quest I could do, so I am like every gathering. I keep calling it crafting, gathering. So I can craft, gather. I can gather everything like at the same time. Doesn't seem to be any limit on that. You can hunt, forage, and fish. But I don't know if you're going to hit limits of what you can level up, because there's one thing that looks very worrying, and there's a bar at the bottom. I stood there and fished for like 20 minutes because I like fishing in MMOs because I'm kind of weird. I just stood there fishing, and this bar was going down and down and down, and it feels like a gathering energy. And when that runs out, maybe you can gather no more, so there's a limit you can do a day. I'm not too sure. If that's the case, it'll probably limit how much you can really progress in you know, like, can you do them all at once? I don't know. Maybe you can buy more with in-game gold or your credit card. I don't know. Who knows? Not my place to say. But gathering feels fun. It's very, very new to me. It's very strange running around mobs in the open world and then just flicking onto a gathering bar and gathering next to them. But I like it. I've not seen anything like it, so I like it. Overall, I'd say this is not your traditional story-driven MMORPG or your standard Trinity MMO that everyone else is releasing right now. It's not going to be for everyone. If you like action RPGs, I think this is really worth your time. It is an action RPG done really, really well. I've just got to the first major city today. I've unlocked PvP, a stronghold. I've not been there yet. Loads of gear enchantment systems and stuff like that. Pretty overwhelming stuff. I kind of got all these new quests and just logged out in just too much in one day. I'm looking forward to getting into all that, but I haven't done enough of it to talk about it here. If you would like a second video, kind of a first impressions part 2, going into like the level 30 plus content and that kind of stuff I talked about, please do let me know. There's a lot more to this game I haven't mentioned. Dungeons, I just haven't done many. Is the game pay to win? I don't know. I've not really gone into the cash shop. I'm still very early. This is very much a first impressions. But if you want to see more, you want to see a part 2, you want to see me continue this into some sort of series, do let me know. I mostly make videos on here about Final Fantasy XIV. I stream 14 3 days a week. But I've been playing this to myself, really. I've streamed it maybe twice in the last 2 weeks. But I've mostly been playing it offline just to myself. But if you want to see more of it, I'm happy to make more stuff on the channel, on the stream. So yeah, let me know in the comments. That's the only way I know you're into this kind of thing. Also, if you've been playing Lost Ark, how's it going? Are you into it? Are you hooked? Are you at end game? Have you tried it? Not for you? Curious? I got a lot of MMORPG players that subscribe to this channel, so I'm really curious what you think of this. I put out a poll last week, and yeah, there's a very wide range of thoughts on this, so I'm really curious now it's out what people think. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. That's it for today. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.